Hidden deep in the Jordanian desert lies a city carved from stone that defied empires and time itself. This is Petra, once the capital of a forgotten kingdom, and today one of the most remarkable archaeological sites on the planet. In this video, discover how it rose from desert obscurity to dominate ancient trade routes, how its architecture reflected power and belief, and why it's now protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Hidden in the rugged desert of southern Jordan, Petra lies within the Ma'an Governorate, just outside the town of Wadi Musa. It's a remote but remarkably strategic location, surrounded by mountains, cliffs, and narrow passageways that made it both defensible and discreet. Getting to Petra today is straightforward, but still feels like a journey. Most visitors arrive via road, traveling either from Amman, about 235 kilometers away, the Jordanian capital, or from Aqaba, 125 kilometers to the southwest, by the Red Sea. The King's Highway and Desert Highway are the two main routes. Both offer scenic views, though the Desert Highway is faster. Ma'an is much closer, just under an hour's drive. Wadi Musa, right at Petra's doorstep, functions as the gateway to the site. The nearest airports are Queen Alaya International Airport in Amman and King Hussein International Airport in Aqaba. From either, visitors usually travel by road. While Amman offers more international connections, Aqaba can be a convenient entry point for regional flights. The Nabateans didn't choose this location by accident. Petra sat at a crossroads of ancient trade routes that linked the Arabian Peninsula, Egypt, the Levant, and beyond. Incense, spices, textiles, ivory, and precious metals passed through the city, turning it into a wealthy commercial hub. The landscape around it is anything but ordinary. Carved into rose-colored sandstone cliffs, the city sits in a desert basin ringed by rugged mountains. The terrain is dry, harsh, and marked by steep elevations and narrow canyons. This dramatic geography isn't just beautiful. It shaped how the city was built. The valley provided natural shelter, while the Siq offered a defensible entrance. Steep ridges and narrow gorges made Petra difficult to access, deterring invasions and controlling entry. Petra's climate is typical of a high desert environment. Summers can be extremely hot, with temperatures often exceeding 35 degrees Celsius, while winters are cold and dry, sometimes dropping below freezing at night. Rainfall is rare, but can cause dangerous flash floods, especially inside the canyons. Spring and autumn offer the most comfortable conditions for visiting. Survival in this environment depended on water. The Nabateans developed an advanced hydraulic system with channels, reservoirs, and cisterns that collected and stored rainwater. Some of these systems still function today. Their ability to manage water in a dry region was key to the city's endurance. The surrounding desert, the elevation shifts, the play of light against rose-colored stone, everything in Petra's geography adds to its otherworldly atmosphere. And yet, every curve in the canyon, every shadow on the cliff, was once part of a practical plan. A city built with the landscape, not against it. Petra's story begins long before its famed facades were carved into sandstone. The region shows evidence of human habitation dating back to around 7000 BCE, with early Neolithic communities like Beta and Basta nearby. These settlements, among the earliest known in the Levant, practiced agriculture and animal domestication, laying the groundwork for future civilizations. By the late Bronze Age and Iron Age, the area was part of the Edomite kingdom. The Edomites established fortified settlements atop the region's rugged terrain, including the plateau of el-Biyara. Their presence is recorded in Egyptian texts and biblical references, indicating Petra's early significance. In the 4th century BCE, the Nabateans, a nomadic Arab people, settled in the area. Likely of Arab origin, they emerged as nomadic tribes moving across the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. Their early society was built around trade and seasonal migration, living in tents, moving with their herds, and controlling key paths through the arid landscape. Over time, they began to settle in more permanent locations, drawn to places with natural protection and strategic access to trade routes. The valley where Petra stands offered exactly that. Surrounded by mountains and hidden within a narrow gorge, it provided both safety and seclusion. They started modestly, carving tombs into the rock faces and establishing sanctuaries and markets. As trade expanded, so fez the city. Its position between Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean made it an ideal hub for goods like frankincense, myrrh, spices, silk, and precious stones. Merchants from across the region passed through its gates, negotiated in its open courtyards, and rested in its carved dwellings. The Nabateans grew wealthy not only by trading goods, but by mastering the infrastructure around it. They offered security, supply stations, and taxed the flow of commerce efficiently. Their diplomatic relationships with neighboring powers like the Romans and the Seleucids also helped keep the peace along these routes. What made Petra extraordinary wasn't just its location. It was how the Nabateans transformed it. With limited rainfall and harsh terrain, they engineered an advanced water management system that included dams, cisterns, and hidden channels carved into the rock. This allowed them to store enough water for thousands of people, even during long dry seasons. Urban planning followed the natural flow of the land. Homes, tombs, religious sites, and public buildings were carved directly into cliffs or constructed with locally sourced stone. In the year 106 CE, Petra officially became part of the Roman Empire during the reign of Emperor Trajan. At the time, the Nabatean kingdom had just lost its ruler, King Rabel II Soter. His death left a vacuum of leadership, and rather than descend into conflict, the region was annexed peacefully by Rome. There are no records of military resistance, no signs of siege or uprising. Instead, the transition appeared almost administrative. The Nabatean capital was absorbed into a newly formed Roman province, Arabia Petraea. For the Romans, this was a calculated move, one that expanded their reach further into the trade-rich deserts of the east. Trajan appointed Cornelius Palma as the first governor of the new province. From his base in Bosra in modern-day Syria, Palma oversaw the integration of Petra and surrounding territories into the imperial system. Roads were paved to connect the city with Damascus and the Red Sea port of Aila, modern-day Aqaba. These routes were part of a broader Roman infrastructure strategy. With Petra now under their control, the empire secured a key node linking the Arabian interior with the Levant and Egypt. It gave the empire direct control over trade routes, once managed by intermediaries. Goods from southern Arabia and even India could now flow through Roman roads, ports, and tax systems. Petra's existing infrastructure was absorbed into this larger network, and its geographical position made it a valuable outpost in both economic and military terms. Though it never became a full Roman colony, Petra was fully Romanized in practice, connected by roads, ruled by governors, and sustained by imperial priorities. Its annexation marked the end of Nabatean sovereignty, but not the end of the city's influence. The decline of Petra didn't begin with destruction. It began with silence. Starting in the 3rd century, the trade routes that once made the city flourish began to shift. Maritime paths became safer and more profitable, especially along the Red Sea and Persian Gulf, reducing the need for long and hazardous desert caravans. Petra, once a crossroads of commerce, slowly found itself bypassed. Goods like incense, spices, and silk that had once filled its markets were now moving through ports and coastal cities. But what commerce weakened, nature shattered. A powerful earthquake struck the region in the year 363 CE, causing widespread damage to Petra's structures, including its intricate water channels and public buildings. The city did not recover fully. By the 5th century, Petra had entered a new chapter. Under Byzantine rule, its commercial role had all but disappeared. New structures began to appear, not markets or palaces, but churches. Christianity had spread through the region, and Petra followed the shift, with at least 3 Byzantine churches built within the site. Mosaics replaced incense, and altars took the place of merchant stalls. These changes, no matter how sincere, weren't enough to revive the city's former vitality. While the spiritual life endured for a time, Petra was no longer essential to the region's economy or politics. And without trade or strategic function, the city faded further from relevance, holding on only through the quiet rituals of a smaller, more devout population. Around the year 551 CE, another powerful earthquake struck Petra, compounding the damage left by previous disasters. Sections of temples, houses, and infrastructure collapsed entirely. The city's fragile hydraulic systems, so essential in that dry environment, were once again disrupted, making everyday survival even more difficult. What had once been a marvel of engineering could no longer support its residents. This earthquake marked a turning point. Many of those who still lived there likely left soon after, seeking safer ground and more stable conditions elsewhere. From that point forward, Petra ceased to function as an urban center. It was no longer a city. It had become a memory carved in stone. In the 7th century, the political and cultural landscape of the region changed once again. The rise of Islam brought a new era of governance, language, and religious life across the Middle East. As new cities flourished under the emerging caliphates, Petra faded even further into the background. It no longer appeared in official records or administrative maps. After the 8th century, Petra vanished almost entirely from the written record. To the outside world, it had ceased to exist. Only the local Bedouin tribes knew it was still there. They passed down stories about the ruins, gave names to the landmarks, and treated the place with a mixture of familiarity and reverence. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt arrived in the region under a false identity. Disguised as a Muslim pilgrim, a necessity at the time due to restrictions and risks faced by European outsiders, he convinced a Bedouin guide to lead him to what was then known only in local stories as the site of an ancient tomb. Claiming he wished to offer a sacrifice at a shrine, he entered the narrow gorge of the Sikh and emerged before the massive facade of what we now call the Treasury. What stood before him defied expectations. An entire city carved into the rock, unknown to the West for centuries. He made notes in secret, careful not to raise suspicion, and later shared his findings with the Royal Geographical Society in London. His account reignited interest in the lost city. Throughout the 19th century, travelers, scholars, and adventurers ventured into the region, sketching ruins, recording inscriptions, and speculating on Petra's origins. Formal excavations began slowly. Early digs were limited in scope, focused mostly on the visible monuments. But as the 20th century advanced, interest became more systematic. Teams from Jordan, the United Kingdom, the United States, France, and Germany took part in coordinated archaeological efforts. They uncovered not only tombs and temples, but also streets, staircases, workshops, and living quarters. Evidence of a complex urban life that extended far beyond what was seen on the surface. As technology advanced, so did the discoveries. In the early 21st century, researchers began using aerial photography and LiDAR scanning to investigate the ground beneath the desert crust. In the 2010s, one of the most surprising findings emerged: a massive, previously unknown rectangular platform located just south of the main city center. It revealed that significant portions of Petra remained buried or hidden in areas yet to be explored. Despite more than a century of study, the city continues to offer new clues. Every excavation adds layers to what is already known, showing that Petra is not just a relic of the past, but an ongoing source of knowledge about ancient innovation, adaptation, and survival. Today, Petra is more than an archaeological site. It's a national symbol. The city that once thrived on controlling trade has become a crossroads again, this time between history and modernity, preservation and exploration. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also check our playlist for more incredible World Heritage sites. Petra's most famous landmarks form the heart of the visitor experience. These are the sites that define its silhouette, draw travelers from around the world, and carry the memory of a civilization that once thrived in the Jordanian desert. Spread across the Central Valley, they combine scale, artistry, and symbolism, and each plays a distinct role in the urban and spiritual fabric of the ancient Nabatean capital. To reach Petra, every visitor passes through the Sik, a winding gorge flanked by cliffs up to 80 meters high. This natural passage sets the tone for the journey ahead. Its tight curves and geological patterns make the first approach a sensory experience, heightening the impact of arriving at the Treasury. The first and most iconic is Al-Khazneh, known as the Treasury. Carved directly into the sandstone at the end of the Sik, it stands over 39 meters tall and dazzles with its Hellenistic-inspired facade. With its grand columns, niches, and sculpted urns, it likely served as a royal tomb, though some suggest ceremonial use. Its dramatic reveal after the Sik has made it one of the most recognized images in archaeology. Towering even higher, though more remote, is Ad-Deir, or the Monastery. Reached by a steep climb of more than 800 steps, its facade resembles the Treasury, but with a more massive, stripped-down appearance. Its elevated location offers wide views over the surrounding mountains, and its function remains debated, possibly a temple or gathering space. To the east of the center, the royal tombs dominate the cliffside. These include the Urn Tomb, which was later converted into a Byzantine church, the Silk Tomb, known for its swirling stone colors, the Corinthian Tomb, echoing the Treasury style, and the Palace Tomb, one of the largest in Petra. Each reflects different techniques and periods, illustrating how architectural styles evolved. The theater, carved directly into the rock rather than built with freestanding stone, is another remarkable structure. With a capacity estimated at 3,000 to 4,000 spectators, it suggests that public performances or political gatherings were integral to Nabatean life. Its placement within view of many tombs may also imply ceremonial functions. Down in the valley, the colonnaded street runs through what was once Petra's civic core. Lined with column bases and paved sections, this ancient road connected temples, markets, and public spaces. Along it, structures like the Nymphaeum and market areas once served as gathering points. At the southern end of the colonnaded street stands Qasr al-Bint, one of Petra's few freestanding stone buildings. Likely a major temple, its thick walls and elevated position suggest a sacred function, possibly linked to the worship of Dushara, the chief Nabatean god. Finally, the great temple complex dominates a large area with its multiple terraces, columned halls, and staircases. Excavations have revealed intricate mosaic floors and architectural elements that hint at administrative or ceremonial use. Its scale and complexity point to Petra's political sophistication and urban planning. These are the structures that shaped the city's skyline and its legacy. Together, they reflect a culture that combined engineering skill with spiritual intention, leaving behind not just buildings, but a vision carved into stone. Beyond Petra's most famous landmarks lies a second layer of discovery, lesser-known sites that reveal different dimensions of Nabatean life. These places are often quieter, tucked away from the main trail, and they reward those willing to walk a little further or look a little closer. Though not as widely featured in photographs, they offer just as much in terms of historical value, architectural detail, and atmosphere. One such place is Little Petra, Sheikh al-Barid, located a few kilometers north of the main site. Often considered a satellite settlement, it features its own narrow canyon, carved facades, and even a painted dining hall with rare frescoes. It served as a commercial outpost and possibly a staging area for caravans before entering the main city. For those seeking altitude and solitude, the high place of sacrifice offers both. Accessible by a winding climb, it leads to a flat ceremonial platform with altars cut into the rock. The views stretch across the city, and the setting suggests its use for religious rituals, possibly involving offerings or purification ceremonies. The Byzantine church, located near the center of Petra, adds another layer to its long history. Built in the 5th or 6th century CE, it contains detailed mosaics depicting animals, plants, and geometric patterns. The church stands as evidence of Petra's transition into a Christian city under Byzantine influence. Another fascinating site is the tomb of Sextius Florentinus, a Roman-style burial monument dedicated to a Roman governor of the province. Its Latin inscription and design mark it as a rare example of Roman presence in Petra, and it shows how local traditions and imperial symbols overlapped. In the area of Wadi al-Farasa, several important sites are grouped together. The soldier tomb complex includes a richly decorated tomb with carved reliefs of figures in military dress, alongside a triclinium and additional burial chambers. Nearby, the garden triclinium offers a peaceful carved space believed to have been used for ritual banquets. Close to Petra's entrance, the obelisk tomb and Bab al-Sik triclinium form a striking pair. The tomb's pointed pillars suggest Egyptian influence, while the triclinium, essentially a dining room carved into the rock, highlights the Nabateans' focus on funerary rituals involving food and community. Also worth mentioning is the Renaissance tomb, noted for its clean lines and balanced proportions. Though its exact function remains uncertain, it stands out architecturally from the neighboring structures. The lion triclinium, marked by reliefs of lions on either side of its entrance, suggests ceremonial use and is another example of animal symbolism in Nabatean culture. These quieter corners of Petra are filled with meaning. They show how the city was not just a collection of monuments, but a living space, layered, adapted, and deeply human. In 1985, Petra was officially inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. The decision wasn't just symbolic, it was an acknowledgement of the site's extraordinary cultural and historical value. Petra met multiple criteria, but 3 stood out. Criterion number 1 highlights Petra's rock-cut architecture as a masterpiece of human creative genius. Structures like the Treasury and the Monastery exemplify this. Their scale, detail, and harmony with the surrounding landscape remain unmatched. Criterion number 3 values Petra as a cultural witness to a lost civilization. Though the Nabateans left few written records, the city itself is a living archive of their beliefs, technologies, and social structures. Criterion number 4 addresses urban and technological innovation. Petra's complex water systems, strategic city layout, and integration with its natural setting demonstrate a high degree of planning and environmental adaptation. Together, these criteria positioned Petra not only as a regional treasure, but as a site of universal importance. Recognition by UNESCO brought change. International awareness increased rapidly, and Petra became a destination known across continents. Tourist numbers grew, and with them came the need for better infrastructure, trail systems, and preservation efforts. In 2007, Petra was voted one of the new 7 wonders of the world in a global campaign that brought even more visibility. While the title helped solidify Petra's place in popular imagination, it also amplified the urgency of preservation. Jordanian authorities have since balanced promotion with control, establishing clearer regulations on branding, filming, and on-site activities. Today, Petra stands at a crossroads between heritage and modern demand, memory and maintenance. Its recognition as a World Heritage Site and a new wonder brought it back to the world's attention. Now, its future depends on how well that attention is guided, how thoughtfully the site is protected, and how deeply people are made to understand that its value lies not only in what can be seen, but in what has survived. Thanks to a combination of official reports, travel records, and UNESCO data, Petra's numbers tell a compelling story. They reveal not just its cultural significance, but its economic weight, archaeological depth, and global visibility. Petra welcomes over 1 million visitors annually. Foreign tourists account for the majority, roughly 70% in recent years, while the rest are domestic travelers. The Petra Archaeological Park covers around 264 square kilometers, including more than 800 registered monuments and structures. Over 20 walking trails are officially mapped, totaling dozens of kilometers across the mountainous terrain. Many paths are carved into the rock or follow ancient Nabatean routes. Petra is also deeply embedded in pop culture. It has been featured in more than a dozen international films and documentaries, most famously Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. The site has appeared on Jordanian coins, stamps, and official symbols. On any given day, thousands of photos are taken at the Treasury alone. Some estimates suggest over 5,000 per day, especially during peak season. Among destinations in the Middle East, Petra consistently ranks in the top 5 most visited heritage sites. The statistics may quantify its success, but they also reinforce the responsibility of preserving Petra for generations to come. Petra is more than a destination. It's a memory carved into stone, a silent witness to centuries of change, and a living connection to the ingenuity of the Nabateans. From its towering facades to its hidden trails, from ancient rituals to modern conservation, every corner of Petra carries a story that still resonates today. If Petra has ever been on your travel list, what part fascinates you most? The mystery of the Treasury? The climb to the monastery? And if you've already been there, what moment stayed with you? Share your thoughts in the comments.